Hi, Greg. Welcome back, everyone. If you're joining us for the first time, my name's Holly Clements. I'm SSKB's Victorian General Manager, and I'm joined by Greg Layden of Chiefmaker. Greg's an executive coach based in Melbourne. He's coached more than 100 senior executives from more than 100 companies across 5 continents. He's the trusted coach of some of the most in-demand C-suite executives and elite sports coaches in Australia. And we have been thrilled to have him on board for the last 6 weeks as we work through our high performance in ISO series. So welcome back, Greg.
Hi, Holly. Good to see you again, and wonderful to be back with the crew. Session 6, so we've had 6 wonderful weeks of this now.
Yeah, absolutely. How are you traveling this week?
Look, we're actually in pretty good form this week. We sort of felt a little bit like last week was a bit of a hit when we all found out we really had another 6 weeks. But we've been working hard on our little playbooks and processes and mindsets, and it feels like we've had a good turn in the last 5-6 days, and we're in good spirit, and the weather's helped a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah,
a bit of
definitely.
sunshine, and these things go a lot
Definitely.
further than we probably expected, So
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely found the weather's improved my mood a lot. Just even
important to
getting out
get
and
that
about.
sunshine, and and vitamin D. You just, it can't be replaced, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess today we thought we'd work through a recap on all of the previous series first. So
yeah, sure.
Greg, did you want to just kind of walk us through quickly around the toolkit
Sure.
and maybe some mindfulness, and then we can get stuck into one of the new topics?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so today we're going to cover the 5 sources of life. Bit of a mysterious topic, but I'm going to talk a bit about that. But we started 6 weeks. We started with a talk about or what we call your toolkit to respond. But the whole 6 weeks has been with this frame of when you get into a difficult situation, you want to have multiple options to respond. Like I spend a lot of time living with the Shaolin monks in remote China, and that they speak or they teach you that when you get into some sort of combat, if you've only got one move, you're in big trouble. Like if all you've got is one kick and one punch or something, as soon as you come up against a formidable opponent, you're going to really find it difficult to respond. So what this is about is some choice under pressure, some choice in difficult situations. And it wouldn't matter if it's a lockdown or the challenge here or a challenge at work or a relationship at home. If you're finding that you're getting stuck and unsure, it's probably because you're lacking choice. And what we wanted to create over this period is a bit of a toolkit or like the old Batman utility belt. When something goes wrong, you look down on your belt, oh, I've got that, and I've got this up my sleeve. And so you get a whole range of different moves in order to getting from sort of, I suppose, suffering or surviving and into maybe thriving. Now,
I think that's key as well. I think that's key as well to the recap, and also, I guess, making viewers aware that most of this material is available on our Facebook page. So if you missed a previous session, you can go back on it, not just for now while we're in ISO, but it's all definitely handy tools for just, getting through life.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it certainly helped us and our family, get through this, but also, just in general on a day-to-day stuff. I remember when we had our twins, oh my God, it was, it was crazy. We used a lot of the tools that we spoke about to get through that period,
Yeah.
So the first session, if you recall, was all about identifying your main triggers for negative states. So when you maybe, for me, it was like whenever I read the news, I know that was something that would send me into a bad emotional state. Therefore, I'd make bad choices. I'd drag that around the house. It wasn't a good sort of thing to be demonstrating to my kids and my wife, and just created tension in the house. And my wife was going through the same thing. So, we realized pretty quickly that news was a trigger for us. So it was about saying, well, instead of that being a negative trigger, how can we actually turn that into something positive? So a bit of a mindset and an action in order to get us out of that. So we spoke a lot about identifying, I suppose, your points of pain to begin with, then turning that or coming up with something that's quite specifically going to tell you when that happens, I've got a different kind of response. So that was important. In week 2, we spoke about mindfulness and that real calm presence that comes from the Buddhist tradition around meditation and just being calm, centered, composed, focusing on your breathing and just being in the moment. We spoke about how important that is at the moment. And then we also spoke a little bit about how you can use things like journaling and flow to help you with that. If you're not someone who loves meditating or find it hard to get motivated or stay focused, then sometimes some journaling and some flow can help you get closer to that state of mind. In week 3, we spoke about the power of routines, daily and weekly routines, and how you can implement some of the methods that we use in coaching high performance sporting teams or even executive teams or individuals as either athletes or CEOs, and what we can do maybe in our own life as far as where we start the day with a bit of ritual or tradition and finish the day on a similar note. Then we shifted, right, from like those first 3 weeks were about some very sort of in the moment resets to recalibrate our emotional state. In weeks 4 and 5, we shifted into creating a sustainable sense of resilience and doing that through life vision and a bit of a life plan and an execution plan. Now, that all comes from the fact that when the history has showed us over time that people that go through intensely difficult periods, right, if they have something more to live for, they have really clear vision, purpose, something they love, that they really want to serve, they are more resilient through these hard times. So it's almost like an eyes on the prize in the very, very distance. If we can keep our eyes on that and keep reconnecting to it, it sustains us and improves our base level of performance through these times. So that was weeks 5 and 6. And so that's sort of given us a range of things to sustain a better state of mind, but also some individual tools. And today I want to talk about 5 sources of life. Now let me explain this to you. I think it was in about would have been 2008 or 2009. I was doing a 48-hour adventure race on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. I was doing this race with 2 guys that had never done a really long sort of race. I mean, it's, I don't know, 150 Ks or something. I don't know how long it is, but it's a very arduous race, and you're going to run out of steam along the way, right? So I started this race with these 2 other guys, and it was a combination of mountain biking, trekking, navigating through the bush, and kayaking. Anyway, about 5 hours into the race, we have all our packs on. We've done this big mountain bike. We get to a particular part out in the bush, and we've got to jump off a waterfall and down into this river. And it was maybe about a 5-minute drop. It wasn't a huge drop, but it was full packs, full clothing. Then you've got to swim up a river and then get out and climb up this mud bank and keep navigating. Now, what happened was, in my backpack, I had all the food and all the things that were going to get us through the next 48 hours. There was a food stop that was still another 8 hours away. So we had a long way to go before we were going to get replenished food and water. Now, what we didn't realize is when I landed in that water with the power of the force of me hitting the water, it burst open some of our Ziploc bags that had all our food in it. And so in the space of 5 seconds, we lost our food supplies that had to get us through the next 8 hours.
Yeah.
And as a result, you can imagine what happened. About 2 hours later, we were riding along, and then I watched.
They all leave you? I just imagine them just leaving you.
I had their food as well, Holly. I had their food as well.
You destroyed them.
So what happened was, and in sporting terms, is what they call the bonk. You'll see it, cyclists get it all the time, and you're riding along, and all of a sudden you just have no energy. You literally just like it's like someone put the brakes on. You're going into the well of reserves, and there's just nothing there. There's no more glucose for the body to pull from. And so what happened was, all 3 of us, around about 2 hours later, just went and just stopped our ability to perform. So what's going on there? The best way to describe it is like a fuel tank for your car. It's now an empty. You're not going to be able to speed up again until you get more fuel into the body, right? There's just no getting around that. Now, when you understand how the human body works, a lot of it actually becomes a little bit as far as your response becomes easier to predict.
Mm.
What's going on with us now is all the endorphins, all the wonderful biochemicals that get released into our body that give us fuel for life, that energy have been taken away. So here's some things that normally give us that kick of wonderful endorphins and things, right? So one, people, right? When I spend wonderful time with someone else, there's a set of little biochemicals that get released into our body that make us feel good, right? That's why, you know, romance is wonderful, or even watching a romantic movie is wonderful for some people. You know, rom-com, wonderful, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not. But yeah, we need human contact. That is, we are social beings. You know, Yoda from Star Wars, he's got wonderful quotes. I love Yoda, but he's got this great quote. He says, "Luminous beings we are, not this crude matter." Right? We require to fuel up, not just food, right? As far as energy on a day-to-day basis goes, we need love, we need attention, we need to feel a sense of belonging. And what's happening now with this social distancing and isolation is it's stopping the release of those endorphins into the body. So if you're feeling flat, it's because that kind of fuel is not being put into the body, right? So that's one really important thing to remember. The second is that maybe, like, one of the great things is this energy and life we get from inspiration from things like music, right? And if you can bring that beautiful energy back into your body, you know, those spine tingling moments when you've been listening to a song, like you've ever been at a festival or a concert and someone just plays something that blows your mind, the adrenaline or whatever that goes into your body, that tingle up your spine. When was the last time we felt that excitement?
A long time.
Yeah, a long time, right? And without that fuel going into the body, you know, it doesn't have to go on every single day, but regularly, that inspiration from music, you know, those things are really important. So I want to just talk through a few things here, but the critical concept to understand is that as human beings, we do certain activities which fill up our fuel tanks, right? Not just food. We need more than food, right? Food just means a crude matter, right? Yeah. So what we need more than that. We're not petrol from a car. We're a lot more different than that. We're more complex. So I want to, there's an attachment there in the PDF as usual. Please, if anyone download that. I think it should be in the comments there for people to download. And I'm just going to share my screen and just talk through a couple of things here. Okay, so these are 5 sources of life. As I said, you know, luminous beings we are, not this crude matter, said Yoda. First is laughter. Laughter is the best medicine for good reason. Well, I was sitting down with my wife about a month back, and we watched I don't know if you've seen the Rebel Wilson series called Laughing Out Loud. And these
I haven't watched that yet. I've watched everything else by her, really.
Yeah, they all get put in a room for a whole day, and their job is to not make each other laugh. If you laugh out loud, then you're out of the room. It's the last one standing. And there are some moments in that little series of videos that just made us belly laugh like we hadn't laughed in ages. And I realized at that moment that perhaps that's something we haven't considered is, boy, oh boy, well, normally when I catch up with friends and go and do, we're laughing our heads off, we're bantering. And now the first 10 minutes of every conversation is how much life sucks in ISO.
Yeah.
We don't get that chance to really laugh. So I think finding like watching great videos on YouTube, sharing funny memes. I've seen a lot of those go around lately.
That's a lot.
You know, like these are important, right? These are really important for us as humans. And every high performance environment I've ever been in is full of laughter, right? It is so important for surviving stressful situations. Like if, you know, doctors in surgery tell jokes, right? There's something about, you know, the guys in the military, there's this hilarious humor they've got that's very unique to the military. Same with sporting teams. In the best exec teams I've ever worked with, have all got a great humor about them. We've got to find that humor because it helps us get through crisis. So this the thing that is missing, I think, between a lot of us is, when I look out across this city, is the community spirit, the laughter, that membership seems to be completely stopped. Right? It's only happening via WhatsApp. So we've got to really make sure that some of the natural things that would happen face to face get fabricated somehow. So get some laughter, right? Watch something funny, share it around with your friends. Like, that would be a wonderful thing to do, to share some funny stuff with your friends, and really bring back some laughter into your life, because that will set off some wonderful endorphins. The second source of life is music. And as Plato said, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. I was watching a video online the other day, and it's the I am, you are, we are Australian video. Have you seen this one, with that Magical Seekers song? I don't know. It's actually, the one I watched was from like 1980s.
They made one with ABC for during this time.
Oh, perfect. Oh, we should put that. Let's put a link up to that.
Yeah.
The thing that got me was when I watched that, because at times, I mean, here in Victoria in particular, it probably felt like the rest of Australia didn't want us. You know what I mean? Well, the people didn't necessarily mean, the people probably didn't mean it, but the politicians haven't been wonderful at making us feel very loved.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think when I listened to that, like, it almost made me cry. I was like, that's what this is about, It really gave me a sense of belonging to this country, and what's so special about being Aussies, that in a crisis, no one cares where the hell you come from. We're all Aussies. We love to back each other. You look at the bushfire response, and people across this country were amazing. Same as I was in Brisbane when the floods hit in 2011. The response was just incredible. And what I've discovered from that, like the music has brought that back to me, that we can do things for each other. So music inspires the mind. It releases us. It gets us. It just changes the world we're in, right? It almost changes reality, right? What's the soundtrack to your life? Like, there's a reason for that. So if you've played down music a bit or haven't really explored some new tunes, find some really cool tunes and use it regularly to shift your state. Random acts of kindness. And I said at the beginning that, some of the most powerful biochemicals or endorphins that get released into our body are the ones that come when we are kind to someone else or show love and compassion. And that's that famous saying, like, it is in giving that we receive. And if you are feeling really lonely and isolated and not loved, the very best thing you can do is just put a bit of thought into how you can show a random act of kindness for someone that you care for, or even someone you don't know that well. And that might be sending them a dinner, maybe sending them some flowers. I know my wife had some flowers sent the other day from a friend in Sydney, and it was just a wonderful touch. It wasn't much, but boy, oh boy, did she feel good when she received that. And I'm sure her friend that sent them felt wonderful as well.
It makes you feel really good when you give things to people. I took on that advice after, I think it was the first session, and sent some little like chocolate presents to my friends, and it makes you feel better than it makes them feel.
Makes them feel loved, right? You get something in the post, someone's had to go to an effort to do that. Yeah. And so if you were to finish, every second day with a little thing like that, just send something small in the post, or an Uber Eats voucher or something, and wow, wouldn't you feel so much better about things, So I think that's a really important one to put back into your kit bag, is a random act of kindness. Now, this one, the last two, I think perhaps people have found a little bit hard to find energy on. So the next one is learning. And Socrates said that education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Now, one of the challenges, like as a coach, people always come to me with, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do in this situation. And I've got a little bit of a saying is, whenever you get stuck or momentum is gone or you're out of choice, the very first thing you do is you just pour a little knowledge onto it. right? And that knowledge changes the dynamic of the situation. It gives you more resource. It gives you more power to respond to it. What are we doing here? We're sharing knowledge, learning, right? Now, you might find right now you don't have the energy for reading a business book or whatever, but there's so many options now, from podcasts to short little YouTubes to Facebook Lives to books to audio books. It's never been easier to learn. And if you're finding yourself just stuck, then I would say some little light-hearted, fun learning would go a long way. Like, I was listening to one of those speeches at the ex-student comes back to the big American campus, University of Texas, and just watching this military leader this morning give this phenomenal 15-minute presentation to the graduates of the University of Texas. And I was like, wow, I just needed that. It wasn't, just an easy thing to get on YouTube. It was free.
Very
it was
simple.
18 minutes. Very simple, but really got me into a much better mindset, but also got me thinking about maybe some of the ways that I'm approaching life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's a really cool thing to do, is what learning can do is, it's that source of life. When you think about it, it can reignite your passion for something. So you got to ask yourself, over the last, I don't know, how long have we been in lockdown? 55 years? I don't know, however long we've been in lockdown,
years.
how much learning have we done, right? And I think that would be a nice little thing as a gift to yourself during this time, is to do a little bit of learning. It doesn't have to be too structured, just something.
Mm.
Now, the last one, I'm sure some people are looking at it and saying, how the hell is solitude a source for life? You must be joking, mate. We've just spent all this damn time in isolation. I'm talking about solitude, not ISO. And I think there is a subtle difference between the two. And I think May Sarton there sums it up well. She says, loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self. Now, I don't know about you. While we are in isolation as a family, what is really interesting is there is no solitude. If you're living with one other person, you haven't had any space to yourself for a very long time. And I think that's really, really interesting, because some of your best thinking comes from those times. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
I was just going to say, yeah, I agree. I think that Matt and I, my husband, we realised that not so long ago, and we've really made an effort to kind of, if he's going for a walk, he's going for a walk by himself. And if I'm going for a walk, I'm going for a walk by myself, kind of thing, for that reason.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? My wife and I have given us each other the gift of, at dinner time, when we've got 3 kids running around, instead of having to be in that hectic moment, one of us every now and then gets to just go for a walk at that time for 45 minutes or an hour, and just go and clear the mind on your own, listen to some music, just have some time on your own, because it's in those moments of solitude, and also don't use your solitude to play on your phone. This is free thinking, quiet time to just walk, right? I wouldn't even journal in this time. I would just go and just be out in nature somewhere away from home, just to go and have some time on your own and let the brain wander. And I think that's what I mean by solitude. It is a refill. Now, if you are living on your own, you're probably sick of it. I get that. But in all other cases, if you do have at least one other person in your apartment or the house you're living in, then I think there is some real value in thinking about the importance of it. So that is the 5 sources of life. Very happy to answer any questions as they come through. There's one there from Abby. Greg, do you have any jokes you can share for the laughter section? Well, I tell you what, I'll quickly go into my little thing I've got. I send this email around my monthly newsletter. Always has a good one, so I'll see if I can read one to you, Abby. Don't worry about your smartphone spying on you. Your vacuum has been gathering dirt on you for years.
That's such a dad joke.
Yeah, well, it is. What's the best thing about living in Switzerland? I don't know, but the flag is a big plus. Sorry,
Yeah,
Abby, you did ask for it. I'm officially a dad now, so I can tell dad jokes. Better stop
I've
this screen
definitely
share.
taken up the advice of sending funny memes. I think that's all me and my friends
Yep.
do in our group chat. We don't
Oh,
actually
good,
talk
good, good, good.
anymore. We just
Yep.
communicate via that.
Oh, Ross Hardcastle
um,
says more Yoda quotes. Oh, I can give so many Yoda quotes, Ross. I've been using more in some other posts, so I'll post some there for you, mate, while we're thinking about it. Any other questions?
No, I think that that was a really useful session in terms of adding those points to our resilience toolkit. Because I think some of those things, especially laughter and acts of kindness and that sort of thing, people have kind of, I think, forgotten about like the impact that they can have on your day and how much they can actually improve your day. So I think that they've been really useful tools to add to that toolkit, ready for use. Yeah, like I said earlier, not just in ISO, but just life in general.
Yeah. Well, I think it's it's been a pleasure to share a few stories and a few frameworks that we use with executives and athletes to help people go through what is a very challenging time, and it hasn't been easy. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, this has been a very, very, very tricky time and difficult time for many. So, my offer is just to keep. I'll be here if anyone posts questions on the Facebook post. I'll answer every single one of them. I know we've got a resource that we're going to put up, I think, and that'll be on the SSKB website. So people can always go to the SSKB website and have a download the PDF, watch all these videos. They'll all be on there for you for the foreseeable future. There's 2 more weeks of level 4, then we've got 4 more weeks of level 3, and then hopefully we can find some way to be in a better place after that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you on behalf of SSKB, Greg, for your time over the last 6 weeks. I know I've enjoyed it, and I'm sure that all of our viewers have enjoyed it as well. So thank you once again. I think you've already touched on the resources will be available. You'll answer any questions in the comments and that sort of thing. But heartfelt thanks, and hope we'll get through to the end of this quicker than what we think at the moment.
We hope so. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, and look forward to any further questions from people. Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks so much.